Interested in abstract images, both stills and moving? Today we're going to be doing this at the House of Hacks. In today's project, I'm going to show you how to make this. It's a DIY kaleidoscope attachment for your camera. It's basically a mounting plate that your camera bolts to and a triangular mirror assembly that can be rotated around if you want. And you just shoot through it and take a picture of whatever you want, and whatever you're making becomes a kaleidoscope image. This is easily made from inexpensive materials. Most of this was actually just scrap that I had lying around from previous projects. The only thing I really had to buy was a couple unions at the hardware store. I think that was it. Everything else I had on hand. For this build, we only need a few materials. I've got a base that's 3/8 inch thick plywood, 3 inches wide and 18 inches long. The dimensions aren't super critical. I've got a 2x4 that I'll be using to make some brackets out of. 2 unions, ABS, 3 inches in diameter, and a piece of 12-inch square mirror. A couple tools that we need: some hot glue, some tape, glass cutter, and a little bit of hardware. I've got a T-nut that's 1/4 and a bolt that's 1/4 that's long enough to go through the plywood and into the camera, and a couple washers to make it so it snugs down tight. I think that's everything we need. Let's start making this. Welcome. If we're just meeting, I'm Harley, and this is the House of Hacks, where I make stuff, usually out of wood and metal. Today it happens to also include mirrors, tape, and a little bit of hot glue. This is the base that off camera I drilled 2 holes in. One is a little bit larger than a 1/4 inch, where the bolt will go through from the bottom and hold the camera in place. The other is up here closer to about 1/3 of the way up, that has a 1/4 T-nut in it, and this will be for tripod mounting. The dimensions of this base are 3/8 inch thick plywood. It's 3 inches wide and 18 inches long. The dimensions aren't super critical, just as long as you have a good base to mount the camera to, and it's long enough for the mirrors that we're going to be cutting. Okay, I've got the gloves on because I want to be safe. We want 3 strips of mirror out of here that are 1 3/4 inches wide each. And so I'm going to make a mark on where I want that cut. And I'll lay the straight edge down on those marks. And I've got the glass cutter. We need to give ourselves a little bit extra room to compensate for the thickness of the glass cutter. And we just press down firmly, and we want to just do a single pass. And then we'll see if this breaks. And I do have my safety glasses on. Yeah, that didn't work too well. I don't think I was pressing down quite hard enough. So generally you don't want to try to do 2 cuts. You won't want to score it in the first pass. And give this another try. That looks better. You should be able to just snap it, like so. And we didn't get as good a cut there as I would have liked. If you notice, this edge didn't get cut very well. Kind of, yeah, so we'll try again. And you should hear that creaking sound. That's much better. Okay, so now we have our 3 pieces of glass. And now I'm going to take a piece of tape and tape this into a triangle. Okay, that's just a temporary thing to hold it while we glue it. Okay, now that we have the mirror in a triangle formation, temporarily held in place by the tape, I'm going to just use the glue gun and run a bead along each of the seams. And this will be what really holds it in place for good. So we just want to take our time and run a very generous bead along each of the edges. Hot glue is one of those things that I don't think is really given enough credit in the workshop. It is a really handy material to work with when holding things together, just either temporarily or even permanently on projects. It would be nice if it set up a little bit faster. One of the cool things about this project is it doesn't have to be perfect. There's a lot of leeway for kind of imperfections that really won't show up in the final product. This is definitely one of those cases where we're looking for utility over beauty. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for a couple minutes and let that really set up well. The hot glue is set up, and I took the temporary tape off and finished up the seams with some more hot glue there in the middle where the tape was. And so now we really don't have any sharp edges on this glass. The corners are a little bit sharp, but we don't have any cut edges like exposed like we did before. So we really don't need the gloves. The next step is to wrap this whole thing in tape. Now that will do a couple things. It'll make it light tight along the edges so we don't have any light leakage. It will also, if anything should happen to this and it should break, then it'll help contain the mess and won't get glass all over the place. So let's tape, and so we'll just start wrapping this up. Now I'll take the utility knife and just cut the edges here. I think we have everything now ready to assemble. The unions that I have a little tab on them from the manufacturing process, and I want to put those on the outside of this assembly. And so I want to make sure that I know where those are relative to the mounting brackets. So the those just slide inside the mounting brackets like so. So now that'll kind of help hold everything together so this part doesn't slide in and out as much. And now, if everything's set up right, this should just kind of have a pretty snug fit inside these unions. And it's looking really good. The tape kind of gives it a good snug fit. And if it's a little loose, you can just wrap some more tape around this and it'll hold it nice and tight. So we've got one side in, and now the other side should just kind of go in the same way. And now we're ready to glue this down. Now when I cut this, I did put one of these edges is thinner, so I want to make sure that that's on the bottom. And then when this gets glued in, it'll be just like that. We're ready to mount this. I've got the camera bolted to the base plate so that I know exactly where I want to mount this. So this will mount in front of the lens, and I want to make sure that I have enough room for the lens to move in and out, but I don't want it so much that I have a lot of light leakage around it. And I made sure that I have the thin part of my wood down here. And so I think that's pretty much where I want to put it, is right about there. So I'll just turn this over and run a bead of hot glue along this edge. Now I'll turn it over, and I have a little bit of set time where I can get things lined up just right. And I want to try to get it as centered as I can and going as straight as I can with the camera going along the axis of the mirrors. And it's just a matter of letting the glue set now. Assembly is complete. Let's go make some images. I'll see you in this video where I show you how to make some other abstract images using light bulbs. But in the meantime, let's go make some images. Remember, perfection's not required, fun is.